Good morning. Welcome. So I've had it on my heart for quite a while to start a Stories with Dad. We have been through a lot as a family. I'm a dad of 4 children. Right now they are 13, 10, and 2 is 7. We have twins. And while I have been on this journey of being a dad, I wanted to share a couple things with you along the road, some stories. I think that story brings joy to families and we can have a lot of fun with it. And so I hope that as we're going through these stories about our family and what it's like being a dad, maybe a mom if Amber hops on here sometime, you guys will get to see that we're just like everybody else and everybody's going through the same things, just trying to make it through. I mean, if your child looks like this, you're doing good. I mean, it's got hair, smile, eyes, you're winning. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about one of my favorite things about being a dad and the thing that I got to teach. My boys had to learn how to pee. And so as a man, I have got the art of peeing down. It's taken me a while, but I finally got it down. You know, you got to lift the toilet seat, put it back down, all that kind of stuff. Well, I was so excited when my boys could finally get to the place where they could pee by themselves. And so I was like, okay, you guys are ready. You guys are ready. Trace, let's do this. Okay, so this is what you do, buddy. There's this big toilet bowl, okay? You gotta lift the seat and you gotta pee in the toilet bowl. Well, it took him a couple times and we had messes along the way, as anybody else does. And then finally he started getting it and he was doing really well. So one of the things with kids, if you're raising kids, if you're a new dad or you've been a dad for a while or you're a grandpa, one of the things with kids is you got to know that kids are literal. Like whatever you tell them, they're going to do. And they're going to take what you're saying and they'll run with it, okay? So I taught Trace how to pee in the toilet. Now, I didn't say Trace pee in the toilet, I said Trace pee in the hole. And so I remember we used to have quiet times. And I don't know if you guys have quiet times at your household, but quiet times are absolutely, or they were my favorite time because I would actually get like, I would try to, I don't know, just have quietness in my head because there was just constant screaming, constant chaos, constant everything. Anybody who has young children, you know what I'm talking about. You love those quiet times. Well, I remember I was sitting outside or in our living room or whatever during a quiet time. And I was just like, you know, it's so interesting. Trace has not had to pee during quiet time for quite a while. And his quiet times would be like an hour, hour and a half. Sometimes if he was out, it would be 2 hours. And I remember just sitting there going, you know, he's never had to pee. And I wonder why that is. And there would be little subtle clues, you know, like when you walk in the room, the air vent on the ground is off. And I thought, well, he was just looking down the vent. I don't know what he was doing. And so I just kind of let it go, let it go. You know, you would get that smell of urine every once in a while. But when you've got 4 kids, I mean, we had Trace, Lincoln, and the twins at this point. So we had 4 kids. So you're just like, you're living in urine, you're living in diapers, you're living it. It's just, you don't even know up from down. You're just trying to survive. The first 6 months of twins, it's rough. It gets better after that for those of you that have twins or you're due with twins. So just know that it's hard in the beginning, but it gets easier. So anyway, back to the story. I come back and I'm like, hey, Trace, I've noticed that you haven't went potty. He goes, yeah, I'm fine. I go, okay. So I just walk out and he didn't say anything. I just kind of let it be. Well, one day I decide that I'm going to peek in there just to see if my son's reading a book or he's playing with his Legos, you know, just check in on the child. He has pulled the vent off the ground and he has peed in the vent. Now, I'm not talking like a little pee, like I'm talking a ton of pee. And you know what the most amazing thing is? He didn't get one little bit on the carpet. Everything was perfect aim, right into the vent. And normally he would cover up the vent. And I caught him, and my goodness, I didn't know whether to be proud, mad, frustrated. I mean, he didn't even get it in. He didn't get nothing on the carpet. I was so proud of him for that. But the whole house started to smell like urine, or that room specifically, as the air vents would push that air up through. And that was terrible. It was terrible. So we had a little talk. And remember, if you tell a child to pee in a hole, they will pee in any hole that they can find. Okay? So my boys get a little bit older, and I'm like, okay, we get to move up to level 2 now. We know how to pee in a toilet. Now we're going to go to the next step. Now we're out in the backyard, and the boys are like, yo, Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, perfect moment. We're in the back. We got a fenced yard. We're good. So I take my boys over to the fence, and I'm like, this is how you pee outside, boys. This is one of the most freeing, amazing things as being a boy, is that you get to pee outside. The girls don't get to do this. I mean, they can, but it's weird, awkward. You got to go find a bush. I don't even know anything about that. I don't want to know. Boys, we have it good. We are free. We can go. So I'm like, okay, boys, you go over to the fence, you find a slit in the fence, and you pee in that slit. Well, my boys, they just pee right on that fence, and it just splatters everywhere, and it's awesome. And I'm like, okay, boys, we gotta learn how to do this right, boys. So I teach them. Well, again, you have to be so literal with the child. When you're outside, the only thing that you can pee on or pee between is a fence or somewhere where you're covered. Okay? So Lincoln this time is having quiet time. And he's in the room, and quiet time's over, and I come in, and I look at the wall. And the wall has urine, which I didn't know at this time that it was urine, but I just thought he got some water or something. Well, he took me literally that he could kind of just pee wherever he wanted to as long as there was a wall there. And so he went and he peed all over the wall, all down the, oh man, I can't think of the name of it. It was just all down the wall, all behind, yeah, whatever that thing's called on the ground. I am spacing it. Baseboard. The baseboard, yes. My wife's listening, she's enjoying this. But it's all along the baseboard. It's terrible. It's everywhere. I have to take it off. I have to clean everything up. Not even like 3 days later, Quentin, not in the room, but we get home. I think we're getting home from church or something like that. Dude runs out of the van, runs to the front yard. And the other thing that I forgot to mention is when you like teach a child how to pee, you want them to just like open up a little bit. You don't have to pull your pants down to your ankles. Well, my boys didn't really have that down. I remember one time we were driving on the freeway, Trace is like, I have to pee. And we're like, okay, so we pull off. Dude just pulls his pants right to his ankles, starts peeing on the guardrail. We got an awesome picture of it. I think he was like 3 or 4. It was cute. Well, this time Quentin didn't have a van protecting him. He just went out into our front yard. He didn't even go in the backyard. He went out to the front yard and was like, I'm free! Throws his pants to his ankles, pees everywhere. There's cars going by. I'm like, what are you doing? Where we used to live, we were like in a neighborhood with just houses next to each other, pretty busy street. And so, of course, all the neighbors got to see our child peeing in the front yard. So, rules that you have to establish when training your children. First, if you are peeing, you only pee in a toilet. If you are outside, that is the only time that you're allowed to pee on something, is outside. Thirdly, you do not go in the front yard and you do not drop your pants because you are able to be free. Nobody wants to see that. Okay? Last story of today. So we went to Vegas when I think Trace was like 4, Lincoln was like 1, and I have these 2 boys in this hotel room because my wife we were traveling at this time doing doTERRA, which we still do, but I remember being on this trip and we're in this hotel room and it's so funny, you guys. Like, as you only had, like, when we had 2 kids, I was like, man, this is the most exhausting thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I can't survive. Like, I think I'm gonna die. And then we have 2 more, and I'm like, this is the most exhausting thing that I've ever done in my life, and I think I'm gonna die. But isn't it funny how, like, we can live to this, like, up to a standard that is around us? And then sometimes we look at people who have 1 child, and I'll be honest, I'm like, bro, you got it so easy. You have no idea. You have no idea. Try bouncing twins on your side. While one's crying, you're bouncing one, and Trace is hungry, and Lincoln just punched Trace, and you got the twins, and you can't get up, and you're just like, I don't even know how to get through this life. But I digress. So we're in the hotel room, and I'm exhausted at this point. And I'm like, I'm gonna take a nap. Trace, Daddy needs to take a nap. And he's like, okay. I do not know where this child got this idea or what happened, but I remember, if you're ever in a hotel room, don't fall asleep until your children fall asleep. This is my advice. Okay, so I remember being there, falling asleep, and like waking up like, I don't know, it was like 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later. You know, if you're a parent, you never really get a nap, but we try. We try to survive. That's all that we're doing. We're trying to survive. So I remember we're in Vegas, we're in this hotel room, and I wake up, and I walk over to Trace, and I'm like, how are you doing, buddy? And I put my hand on the bed, and it is soaked. And I'm like, what happened, buddy? He goes, well, I had to go pee. I go, okay, well, we don't pee on beds. He goes, Dad, I got it. I washed it off with water. I go, you what? He goes, I washed it off with water. It's good. I go, yeah, that's great thinking, buddy, but you can't pee on a bed and then pour a bunch of water on top of the bed. So now we're in Vegas. This was our first day that we're there, and my child has now peed, like he stood up on the bed, peed down onto the bed, and then took the 3 cups of water that were on the counter that we had put out so that if you needed a drink or if I needed a drink, and he poured them on top of his pee in this hotel room. And I am like, oh my Lord, what is happening? Have you guys ever been in these moments where you tell your child something and they do exactly what you said, but they do it in a different place, or they do it somewhere where you weren't expecting that to happen? I guess I have one more story. As a parent, you have so many stories and they're so fun, right? So I remember when we were potty training. I don't know how you guys potty trained, but when we potty trained, we had a system that worked for us. It doesn't mean that it works for everybody, but we went with it, okay? So while we were potty training, what we did was we would basically strip the kids naked, and we would give them as much juice or water, whatever they would drink, so they would have to go to the bathroom. And I remember it was a lot easier with one. Shout out to Grace Goldner. She helped me potty train the twins. She was a godsend. We got through it. But what you would do is you would strip them down naked, and then you would let them pee, and then when they pee, they go, whoa, 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 whoa! So I would basically grab a child like this, and I would run, and we would go to the bathroom, sit them down, and say, okay, go pee. And usually the first 10 times, 5 times, it was probably 5 times. The first 5 times they were like, oh, and they just clench it, and then we would walk out, and then we would run back to the bathroom. See, baby's happy. And then eventually it would work. Well, with a girl, it's really hard to see because they just pee right down their leg. And this is where Grace came in. Grace Goldner, I'm gonna give you a shout out and tag you on this because you were incredible. I absolutely love that you came to our rescue when you were our nanny. But I remember Asia just peeing down her leg and we could never catch it. And it was so hard. But there's something about girls. Girls know how to do it faster, and I don't know why that is, and it's not fair. They just pick it up. They're just like, oh, yep, I know. Hey, Don't be judging me. The doll is great. See the hair? I combed it. Anyway, so those are some stories about pee and all the fun things that come with being a dad. I hope that you get a little joy out of it. I hope you get a little bit of a laugh out of it. But also, I hope that, like, my mistakes, like if you're a new parent, like, tell your child, be very specific. When you pee, you only pee here. Unless we're outside, and then you only pee on this. So that you don't have children that pee on the walls, pee down the vent, pee all over the floors, go share their freedom with the whole world, as beautiful as it is. So, if you have any fun stories, like, we would love to hear from you, where you have had maybe some pee stories. I know when I was a baby, like, I knew we were gonna have some stuff happen because my mom left me in my crib. And when she left me in my crib, I figured out how to take off my diaper, and I thought I was Picasso. And so I decided that I was gonna go all over the crib, all over the walls, all over the bed, and I just had a good old time. I'm not really an artist though, so I don't know what it was. Maybe I was getting it out early, but you know when you did something as a kid, you just know it's gonna come later as an adult with your kids. And it has, and it's been the most frustrating and awesome thing, because they're great stories later, but I'm telling you, going through them in the moment, I was like, what are you doing? But remember, they're just kids, and really try to just love them through it and teach them through it and not freak out on them as much as we want to. Just love them, encourage them, help them. That'd be my advice for you as a new parent. Try not to freak out on your kids when they do something that you think is over the top, but it's really just them trying something new. And so be very specific with kids, very specific. If I say pee on a fence, he's gonna pee on a wall, a door, anything that he can that looks like a wall, just because he's a kid and he thinks it's okay because I taught him something. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been a fun time sharing my stories. We got a bunch more coming. I'm going to try and bring some stories every Monday morning, and some tips and tricks that I've learned from being a dad. And again, if you guys have some fun stories, please share them, comment, let us know where you're watching from, and we're going to have fun with this thing. All right. Love y'all. Bye.